So, Mr. and Mrs. Tomlinson, thanks for all the information you shared so far. And I enjoyed getting to know you on the All About You forum. Thanks for that. I've got a very professional presentation that I put together. I take every single client, whether it's their first home or whether it's their sixth home, through it. Sometimes I go a little bit faster if the parts aren't applicable. If you don't mind, would you rather have that in print version or do it on the computer? Or you'd rather have it in the print version? Okay, great. I'm going to go through that with you. Please feel free to speed me up or slow me down, whatever is great for you. And if there's any questions that you have, belt them out right when you get them. I'm not a hold your questions until the end kind of person. So let's go ahead and go into my presentation. And then after that, that's when we'll get into your application and the actual documents and disclosures. This is just so that you have a very, very strong feeling that I know what I'm doing, and this is the first time that I've done this. So in this, most important question is, what are your expectations during and after the home loan process? I want to make sure I'll capture it on my notepad right here, is any of the questions. So what is that biggest thing? It's important that I have that. And know that from my perspective is that the close of escrow, that's not the end of our relationship, but that's the launching pad for a long-lasting relationship. And what is your number one concern regarding the home loan process? And tell me why. I need to understand people's why so that I can be of highest and best use to you. Is tell me what that is. Maybe it's interest rate. Maybe it's the closing costs. Maybe it's how long it takes. Maybe it's the communication between you and I. I'll get to your why, and so that I'm paying close attention to that. Then the 3 keys to Summit and what makes us different in the marketplace. I've got each of those broken out. The first one is really, really important, is communication. We communicate. We put this on there 3 times to over amplify, is that we understand is that you've got a lot of tension, a lot of stress during this process, and we're gonna minimize that by staying in constant and consistent communication with you. That's a really big deal for us, and we'll talk about how I do that in a minute. We've got deliver the finest client care in the lending industry. That's something that's very, very important to us, is that all of your calls will get returned, your emails get returned. We'll talk to you every Tuesday on our Tuesday updates. It's very important that we deliver that client care, because otherwise you wouldn't feel comfortable referring folks to us. And we close on time. That's really, really important. That's why I'm stressing to you the importance, and thank you for coming in and getting all your documentation in ahead of time. You've gotten those to Randall. He's reviewed those. He reviewed them with me. I understand all the things that are there, and I know what product is going to be best for you. Similar to the medical field, I've done the proper diagnosis. So now during this meeting today, I'm going to make a prescription of what's best for you folks to get into that new home and have the best loan product available. We do business on a two-way street. What I mean by that is you're going to ask a lot of questions of me. I'm going to ask a lot of questions of you. We do business on a two-way street. Also, the way that I grow my practice is by getting referrals. And that's why I perform at a very high level, is so that you have that comfort level. So you can help me, I'll help you, and it'll be a great long-lasting relationship. One of the things that we found in the home loan experience, and Fannie Mae has actually even done a survey that 68% of people were dissatisfied with the experience from the lack of communication. So what we focus on is there's 2 axes here, the product and then the process. So if we delivered a bad loan and bad client care, you'd never use us again, and that's certainly not our goal. If we even got you an okay loan and an okay client care, you'd probably use us that one time and then never use us again. Again, not our goal. Our goal is clear up here in this corner, is to have you a great loan product coupled with a great client care process, and then you become a raving fan, and even what we call as an advocate of ours for what we do out in the marketplace. Again, what I do for a living isn't mortgages, it's changing lives. This analogy is, are you ready to fly? I use the analogy similar to a commercial airlines. It's not a matter of if you're going to hit turbulence, it's when you're going to hit the turbulence. And similar to the commercial airlines is that I have the experience and expertise to be able to get you safely from point A to point B. Now, we may have to change altitude, we may have to change course a little bit, but I'll get you there safely from point A to point B. And the good thing about the loan business, there's no life or death situations as there is with airline travel. So just know that we're very much experts at what we do, and we'll get you through this process. The loan process, we break it down into these simple steps. Starting the process, you're doing that. You're here with me today. You've already sent in all your documentation. Hiring an agent, you've already done that. You have Betty Tomlinson over at Remax Gold. She sent you to me because she trusts me with all of her clients. Then you're getting started in your home search. You're going to make an offer and get a contract signed. We're going to do the research and appraisal on the property, finish all your documentation, get it underwritten and docs out for you to sign. Then you're going to close and get your keys. So it is that simplistic to us. This still may seem like a bunch of steps there, but no different than if your appendix burst. You don't go and get a book on appendectomies. You go to a doctor that you trust. I'm identical. You're coming to me because she had referred me over to you and you put your trust in me. All right. First 48 hours. This is a really big deal, and I've already chatted with you just briefly about it, but I'm going to walk you through and fill this out for you. Is that the first 48 hours, similar to the TV show, where when there's a homicide, the statistical probability of ever solving that, if there's not a credible lead in the first 48 hours, it's almost identical here in this business. Now, again, fortunately, there's no life or death, is that if you get us your documentation, which you already have, and I've reviewed that, is you're ahead. And so it's something that anytime that we make a request, anybody, myself or my team makes a request of documentation, if you can make it a priority to get that to us within 12 hours and get that documentation, you will position yourself, and I'm going to say that again, you will position yourself with the highest probability of closing on time. So it's really important that we focus on that first 48 hours. Think of it as a sprint at the beginning, so then we can jog at the end, versus jogging at the beginning and then having to sprint at the end. That's backwards, and most people in our industry miss that whole point. There's several different types of loans based on your cash, credit, and income. Those are the three big things that as lenders we take a look at, and we break it down into conventional, government, and portfolio loans, which is private parties. So we have conventional, and that's based on the amount of cash, usually 5 to 20% is down payment. If your credit's really good and your debt to income ratios fall within this range, we would look at a conventional product. Your pricing is usually really good on these, and there's generally, depending on how much you do put down, is mortgage insurance. Then we have government insured products. That's generally if you have less money to put down, your credit is good, maybe a couple blemishes on that, and if your ratios are a little bit higher, then we go with a government insured product. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility. There's also more costs generally that come along with this, so we'll take a look at that. And then if you do have some things in your scenario, but you have quite a bit of money down and your credit might even be questionable, we would look at a portfolio product, but this one is something that we don't look at as our primary source. Keep in mind that we are a direct seller servicer with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and Ginnie Mae. The financial benefits of owning a home, for sure. I believe it's almost self-explanatory. It's better for you to be owning the home, paying the mortgage payment, reducing that principal balance over time. You retain the equity position and appreciation in the home